Hello everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. So we're on week 69, giggity, and just a few quick announcements. First of all, this, again, I'm really struggling. I literally had to sit down like a minute before this and be like, okay, remember, just caress the invisible wall. Happy, just caress it. There's some videos there. One of the big ones is definitely my thoughts and analysis on the Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer that just came out. A newer one that actually shows gameplay elements very reminiscent of either Crisis Core or Final Fantasy 15. So highly recommend you check that out and share what your thoughts are in that video in particular, because there's almost 300 comments under that video at this point. Other than that, just want to let you guys know about some things we have going on Twitch this week. Tuesday, we're going to be checking out the early access launch for Devilion. It's an MMO action RPG. That's right, action RPG. More akin to like Diablo 3, as if Diablo 3 and Terra had a baby. And that is what the MMO is going to be. Again, I'm not quitting Final Fantasy XIV. I'm just checking out some of the other games that are coming out. I'm doing it with Blade and Soul. I'm doing it with Devilion, checking out these new and original ideas, and covering content for you guys. Because I know a lot of you guys look to play things between major patches for Final Fantasy XIV as well. We're going to be getting together, everyone in the stream, form groups on the US server. We're going to be doing dungeons together, PvP together. It's going to be good. So I highly recommend you come by the stream and check it out. We're also striving to hit the 800 sub mark. We're about 30 to 40 subs short of that 800 sub mark. So if you enjoy the stream, if you enjoy the channel, and you want to come by and show some support, hit that sub button. Gets you a bunch of benefits like voting on Subscriber Appreciation Day, which today I did a Bloodborne speedrun, sort of. More like just a faster than usual run, because I screwed up for the first hour or so, and then another 30 minutes was wasted. But anyway, it was a good week. Can't complain. At the very least, we had some good giveaways. We had some good events. So hopefully you guys will come and join us on the live stream over the course of the month of December, so we can hit that 800 sub goal. Anyway, let's get into the questions. I have a feeling we're going to have some good ones this week. First question, you have chosen your destiny. Every cooldown procs now, and every OGCD resets immediately after you've just used it. That would be OP as shit. Yo, easily top FF logs with that. Here's your question for the week, Muck. Wait, I mean 69, of course. I don't get it. Have another future Final Fantasy XIV question. Should we get one tank, one healer, and one DPS every expansion, or can that vary? I'd like to see it vary. I don't think it's reasonable to do that, but it looks like we may be on that pace again. Also, I want the next DPS to be a caster DPS of some sort, which then limits the amount of other kinds of DPS they can implement. What I more want to see is skill trees in the next expansion, and then broadening the possibilities of how many different jobs can actually play multiple roles depending on how you go down these skill trees. I don't think the skill trees need to be very complex. They just need to get a point across. I am tank, I am healer, I am DPS, but I'm able to do more than one of those things on the same job. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get a healer. Maybe a tank and 2 DPS coming up, but I don't know if we're going to get a healer in this next expansion. Also, I have a joke as a bonus. What is a machine stress who looks like Minfilia? What are they called? Gunfilia. I'm going to move on to the next question now while I facepalm before reading it. On that note, next question. Hey, Happy Mecha here. First time asking, so take all the bonus. A few of, I hope, short questions. Oh my goodness. Well, okay. Well, let me reserve, because I see there's quite a few questions here. I'm trying to get into hard content on the game, so I'm trying to train for Thornton, but my server, Ragnarok, most of the parties are already farming it. So I thought of finding a static, and I don't have much experience, only turn 5, so I'm not sure how to do it. Maybe try Savage, then Thornton. I want to do Thornton because I like the fight, but the Party Finder groups are making it hard to find one. Bottom line, just keep trying it on the Party Finder, find a static, or try other hard content. The thing is, there's not really much other hard content. I don't think you need to beat A1 or A2 Savage before you'll find Thornton. You may just need to make your own learning party. I don't know how good learning parties are over on Ragnarok, but I think that might be your best bet, to be honest. And as for the second question, with the way that enemies and bosses in the game are built, with the way they resist CC, do you think Square Enix is removing an opportunity of introducing new mechanics? I mean, the closest thing I've seen is Ifrit's eruptions, and nobody stuns that because it gets resisted after the third one, and you just walk away from it. Yeah, I was going to make the point when I first started reading your question about Ifrit, and how abusable it is. Back when Ifrit hard mode was brand new, stunning those was, for most groups, mandatory because it generates a lot of limit break. But even if you didn't, it was so far from a wipe that it didn't even matter, really. So I guess it's just a matter of what CC they'd make available and how it would actually interact with the boss's mechanics. I think having adds that are susceptible to CC is good. You know, adds that are susceptible to sleeps, binds, slows, paralyzes, any of those things. But I don't know how CC is really going to work on the boss themselves, like stunning bosses, slowing the movement speed of bosses. I would like to see them come up with something, though, because it would be something that would probably be unique and fun, at least to some degree. We'll see, though. There's bosses. There's lots of ways that you can do bosses that you can keep slows on. There's plenty of ideas that they can come up with, and honestly, ideas that I am now rolling around the noggin. So thank you for your questions. Let's move on to the next one. Next one. Hey, happy repost from week 68. Just want your thoughts on these 2 points about Monk. Hey, I've been leveling my Monk. That's probably why you're asking. What do you think of the chakra system where you gained a stack of chakra every time Grease Lightning 3 is refreshed, and it made meditations 5 stacks instantly, and made meditation give 5 stacks instantly like Infuriate? No, see, that defeats the entire point of what meditation is supposed to do. Sure, it's another playstyle, and it probably opens up a higher damage ceiling for the Monk than what is there now, but that defeats the entire purpose. Meditation is supposed to be one of those things that you can do when there's no targets available. It's not supposed to be something that's readily available very often. Monks are monsters when they have 100% uptime on a target. All meditation and change form were meant to do was grant them a way to prepare to get back into the flow of things right after an enemy disappears and then becomes available again. So I don't think that's necessarily the right way to go about it. If anything, the meditation being the 5 stacks is a little bit overkill. The Grease Lightning 3 idea, not so bad for more active damage combat, but then it's only active while you're doing that, and it would probably have to wear off at the same time as Grease Lightning to boot. So if you were going to lose Grease Lightning, then you would lose the stacks as well, and then meditation, I guess you could use it to maybe do that, but then it's not a permanent 5 stack, so there's a lot of pros and cons, but I don't think that's something that they should do to Monk. And also, 2, should Tornado Kick's potency be buffed to 500? It used to be 500, I think, back in the tests people were doing, like in France and whatnot. It's currently only 10 potency higher than Forbidden Chakra, and I feel it's not big enough send-off since you're trading all 3 Grease Lightning stacks. Well, that's the thing. You're only supposed to Tornado Kick when you know you would otherwise lose those 3 stacks of Grease Lightning. It's not supposed to be something you have regular access to. So the idea is that before, when you were going to lose Grease Lightning stacks, you just lost Grease Lightning stacks. There was no trade-off at all. They were just gone. Now it's more a matter of, am I going to lose my Grease Lightning stacks no matter what here? Okay, Tornado Kick. And that makes it a little bit niche to use, but that's all they were trying to do with the new Monk abilities, is cover up their points of weakness when a target isn't available, like we were saying before. So, as cool as the idea sounds, I don't think it thematically fits with what Tornado Kick is actually accomplishing, because if they wanted to make it something that you felt good about trading off Grease Lightning stacks for, then it would have to be a ridiculously high potency, and then it would be used often, as opposed to just when a target is jumping and they're going to become unavailable. So I don't think they should do any changes along those lines. I think that the changes I'd like to see in Monk may just make them not such an outcast when it comes to bosses, specifically with the whole overlapping utility between Dark Knight and Monk with the int down. I want to see if they can adjust that sometime in the future. Next question. Hi, Mr. Happ. First time here asking questions on Mondays with Mr. Happy. I'm new to Mondays with Mr. Happy. English is not my first language, so I apologize ahead of time for bad grammar. You have been warned. Didn't do too bad here at the beginning. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, looks like you have a few questions here. I see at least 3. 1, will Blade and Soul be consoles or just purely PC? There's rumors going around about a console release, but I feel like the gamepad support is not there yet. It's there and it's in the game. I don't feel like it's efficient enough to release it in its current state to a console. Yes, they could make it so you could rebind it on the console, but they should have a working default system for it and not expect you to completely renovate it in order to make it usable. Second question, 14 questions. Will monks get more updates or changes? Hey, we were just talking about that right there. I don't think they need anything more damage-wise. It's, again, the overlapping utility. If they do any changes, I want to see maybe Mantra get maybe more of a unique change. Yeah, 25% healing is fucking phenomenal, but it's very rarely a reason to bring a monk. It's really all in Dragon Kick, and since we now have Dark Knights to fulfill that, I want to see something utility-wise change about the monk. That is what I want. How many questions? Oh my goodness. Definitely more than 3. Okay. Oh, they're all really short, though. All right, let's see. Back in 2.0, they released the Ares and Koenig sets from 11, and are they planning to do more like that? Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more sets from 11 keep making their way into the game, especially as new jobs are put into the game. Yes, absolutely expect to see more sets from Final Fantasy 11. 4, do you think that the material will someday add effects to your skills or passive traits? I would like it to. Hopefully the 3.2 system they're working on, where now we can add materia to raid gear, is a step in that direction. I don't think it is. Something like that probably wouldn't happen until another expansion, but it would be really cool to see that happen, and it's something I think a lot of us do want. It would ultimately result to what's the best one anyway, and people would only use that, but the notion is there. You know, maybe make it so there's ones that are better for PvP, PvE. Having a little bit more customization would be nice. Question number 5, what's really the meaning of life? Everywhere I look it says Final Fantasy XIV. The number 42, I believe, is the answer to the question you are looking for. And question number 6, where's the monk's ranged attack? Wasn't it mentioned? No. We never heard about monk's ranged attack. People have been saying monk is the only job without any ranged attacks. And instead, they just gave us shoulder tackle to be on a really short cooldown, and it can be used right in their face now. You don't have to be a distance. So, no. I mean, everyone keeps saying Chi Blast is probably going to be a thing, but maybe in the next expansion. God, no. Don't add any more abilities, please. Done. No more abilities in the game. Those are all really good and really short questions. So, you know, your English not being your first language didn't really shine through all too much. So, thank you for your questions. Those were good. Next question. Hey, Happy, long-time viewer, first-time question asking person, so take this law bonus, because if Alex doesn't give an SO bonus for first-timers, neither should this. Aww. Aww. So my question is about tank balance. Alright, this is going to be a good one. As things are right now, it's pretty commonly accepted that warrior is better. Yeah. Despite this, the composition is still warrior plus another job. So, taking both these statements into consideration, do you think that tank should be adjusted or is balance fine? I think the biggest issue is that when you make a boss fight, you have to say, oh, this boss is good for Dark Knight. Oh, this boss is good for Paladin. You never have to ask if warrior is good for a fight or not. Between raw intuition, equilibrium, the amount of damage they put out, the amount of sustained TP, sustained damage, and sustained health that they have, all together, it comes together pretty well. And it comes together too well, in my opinion. The thing is, I don't know how well the job would function if it didn't have all these things, because we already saw what a weak warrior looks like back in 2.0. And I say weak, I fucking love 2.0 warrior. Healing for like 2.6k on inner beasts was so much fun. That being said, I don't think we could go back to that and possibly have the job survive in this day and age, but it definitely feels like maybe they gave him too much. Raw intuition and equilibrium are really really good abilities. So I think it may just be bringing the other tanks up to par and less bringing the warrior down. Maybe reduce Storm's path so it's not fucking 10%, because that's a lot of reduced damage. 10% to all types of damage is a lot, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to see it get brought down. So it's definitely not right. The balance is definitely not right, but I don't know. I don't know exactly what they'll do. There's a million ideas floating around my head and everyone else's, but I do agree that tank balance could be adjusted a little bit. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. Having beaten Thornton Extreme, I find it to be a worthy challenge for the reward it drops. However, in a recent interview, Yoshi P mentioned it was harder than what he envisioned. Yoshi P also mentioned future Extreme Primals will not be as difficult. Is this the last time we see a Primal Extreme with Thornton's difficulty until 4.0? Very likely. He didn't seem to be upset with Thornton's difficulty. He just said that they wanted it to be this kind of difficulty, but not to expect that kind of difficulty from future Extreme Primals. So I found that disappointing, because I found Thornton was a very refreshing fight. I think most of the community agrees. That being said, I wonder what they are going to do, because a lot of the community seems pretty happy with Thornton's difficulty. Even the people who haven't beaten it seem to be pretty content with the difficulty he sits at. So I think that they should take that information and use it as a measurement of how much or what kind of fights people enjoy in the game. I think Thornton is not a fight you can do very often, but it's definitely groundwork for fights in the future. So hopefully they learn from Thornton Extreme and how much people have been enjoying it, and we can see difficulty be at least around that level for your standard Extreme Primals and early difficulty raid fights. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, sorry no bonus, but I might be able to throw in a rainbow. I don't even know what that means. Last week, someone asked about giving 14 a risk of loss while doing game content, making things more exciting. I see gambling on the RNG and know there is gambling interest in the game. They should create a Primal Ultimatum roulette with a base set of current Extreme Primal fights. The loot will be 4 top-tier crafting items, which are useless, a rare minion, useless, and a 205 weapon. Okay. The catch is that if you wipe, you lose all your gear and weapon. Fuck that. No, you don't understand how many. That's dead on arrival. Your idea is literally dead on arrival. No. I won't even humor it anymore. No, no, and no. It sounds really good until they have to use development time on that, and nobody does it. You will not get any casual players to do it. Even the hardcore players are not going to be willing to do it, especially when you say it's crafting items. A minion and a 205 weapon. Like, no point. It would literally have to give the single best items in the game. And even then, it would not be worth the time invested, because that basically means you have to go in, and the fight has to be so easy that there's a chance you won't fail it the first time you go in. Because people aren't going to craft a million sets of armor just to go learn fight mechanics and then put on real gear and then still hope they don't fuck up. And also, you never know when a disconnect is going to cost people. This isn't that kind of game. This is not the kind of risk of loss that I am looking into, or I would ever expect anybody to invest in. So, no. Next question. Hey, Haps, how's it going? No bonus this time as I need to keep it short. 2 quick questions. First question, how is it that wearing a blue tunic instead of the default green allows you to breathe? Is this a Link question? Am I answering a friggin' Link question right now? I guess I don't mind. Even then, there's no discernible face mask or gills growing out of you. Same goes for the red tunic that allows you to tromp around in volcanoes and not die. Magic. That's what you get. You want an answer to this question? Magic. That's the answer. Second question, do you think the anima weapons will have anything to do with anima, the Esper Fallacy Summon Primal? People have suggested it. I've even suggested it from time to time. I don't think it will, because of the description of it based on the quest. Anima was a resource back in 1.0 that was used to teleport around. It generated very slowly, and we've stopped using it since then, or I believe because ether has become so plentiful that anima is not even a factor when it comes to teleporting anymore. So, no, I think it has more to do with that, with the anima from 1.0, that system, than it does have, or that energy, I should say, than it has anything to do with the actual primal or summon or whatever you want to call it. Aeon. We'll go with Final Fantasy X Aeon. Next question. Hey, Haps, want to get your opinion on something for your raid group. Okay. Our comp is Paladin, Warrior, Ninja, Monk, Summoner, Bard, Scholar, White Mage. I play Ninja and very comfortable with it. I also have been using Dragoon recently and can do roughly 1300, buffing Bard to around 1250 to Wait a minute. Your Bard doesn't do 1050 DPS and then with Disembowel go up 200 DPS. That's a 25 DPS increase. That's not right. That's not. So your numbers are off somewhere. But yeah, no. I think that getting rid of the Monk for the Dragoon is more valuable. But granted, as long as people are pulling their weight, it doesn't really matter whether you play Ninja or Dragoon. But Dragoon does have more synergy with the Bard. Ninja has synergy with everyone, though. And if you're more comfortable and you are dealing more damage, I'm telling you, you're not increasing your Bard's DPS by 200 to 250 by being on it. Even with the critical hit rate, like you're not buffing him by that much. I'd say that sticking to your Ninja is probably better. Your Bard is benefiting pretty well from things overall. Also, you have a Summoner. Yeah, I would get rid of the Monk for the Dragoon, or I would have the Monk go Dragoon, but I honestly wouldn't even change the composition. It works fine. There's just a lack of synergy between certain jobs. Like, for example, the Ninja... no, never mind. Well, sometimes. No, okay, ignore what I just said. No, you have decent enough synergy. I wouldn't change anything. I think that Ninja and Dragoon are both extremely valuable to raid, more so than Monk. But at this point, as long as people are pulling their weight, it doesn't really matter what's more beneficial to the raid. It's all more about people playing their jobs properly than it is about all of that different raid synergy. Next question. Hey, Haps, no bonus this time instead of a boiled egg. What? Okay, I'm hungry. And a few quick questions. One, I noticed while leveling Bard to 60 that a lot of time offensive cooldowns don't line up with each other terribly well. Well, this is why usually in your opener you have to pop them in a specific order, and then you have to plan ahead when they're going to be available with what abilities. That's actually a big part of fixing your damage at the end game level. It's not just looking, oh man, I perfected my opener, fantastic. If you don't know how to play your job after your opener, having a perfect opener is absolutely useless to you. It's cool to do that big damage, to be like, yeah, I'm so good. But unless you can maintain it by lining up cooldowns properly, by using cooldowns at the right time, it doesn't matter for too much. Now, as for lining up or saving multiple offensives, whatever you do, don't wait for them all to come back up and then pop them all. You want to be using your cooldowns as often as possible when they become available. Some fights make it so that one or two of them can line up right at the same time. Sometimes they have to go back to back. Sometimes it's better to have two cooldowns that are up and then pop them before doing your burst. Make sure you're not popping your cooldowns though right after you've done your burst. They need to be before you do your burst. So remember to prioritize them correctly in that manner. So popping them as they come up, with some exceptions depending on the fight and any downtimes you may get, or any sort of parts of the fight where you don't need to be using cooldowns in order to efficiently deal damage. And 2, is there a macro command to display the tooltip of a skill contained within your macro? Show the tooltip. Oh, you mean actually show the tooltip? I don't think there is. I use macro icon to show the icon, but unless there's a /tooltip macro, which I don't think there is, and it's honestly, I hate it. I really want there to be, because if there is, I would love somebody to tell me. But I don't, skill icon is not, or action icon, or whatever it is, mycon /mycon is not what he's talking about. He means something that if you were to hover over, it would give you the full tooltip. I don't think there is. Maybe there is, and I just don't know about it, but I really want it if there is. Next question. Whoa there, Happy. You're too happy, but nothing wrong with that. Then how can you say I'm too happy? That doesn't make any sense. Can't be too happy if there ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay, anyway, this question is rather weird, and you should judge whether it's too long to be in Q&A or just send me a PM or make a video, yay, on your personal opinion, or just do an extremely quick do it extremely quick for the Monday video, Gatey. So for week 68, you stated you'd rather have more traits than skills for the new expansion or whatever patch. I want to know for each class, what 1 to 3 traits do you desire in the game that would enhance or change slightly a skill, such as lowering cooldown, increasing duration, just outright making it better. Personally, as a bard main, I'd like to see battle voice getting a cooldown reduction to 200 or so seconds. It's not too broken, no, right? It's pretty broken. If you have 1 caster, that would make 2 casters even more beneficial. Nerdy doing something similar to the one thing I would change. You know what? You just reminded me. I've been trying to look at series that I have been irresponsibly not making videos for. That is another one. And I think I would do one thing I want to change about Scholar next. We'll see what I end up doing. So anyway, what's it called? 1 to 3. You know what? I won't do it for every job. I'll do it for 1, maybe 2. Ninja. All right, let's see. A trait that you desire. Okay, a dream within a dream needs a trait. Whatever it is. I know dream within a dream is a job skill, and generally job skills don't have traits affiliated with them. If we had a skill tree, though, it is possible that job skills could have traits via these skill trees. So, dream within a dream. I would like a trait that adds an effect to it, whether you're in Wasp or Viper Venom, like something to give it an additional effect, like Mug and Jugulate have. So that's one thing I would do. I don't know exactly what I would do. Maybe one of them makes it hit 4 times. Maybe one of them makes each crit potentially reduce the cooldown of the next dream within a dream. I don't know. Like those are both DPS. Those aren't utility. I would want something utility based. Oh, maybe make dream within a dream while trick attack is up, extend it by 3 seconds, or then make the other one dream within a dream generates more enmity while under Shadewalker. I don't know, something along those lines. And then the only other thing I would really change is duality, because duality and dream within a dream, they're cool and they're, you know, more damage than we had before, but they're pretty lame in comparison to the a lot of the abilities other jobs got in the expansion. So duality, I would probably have one make it hit 3 times, or a trait that maybe make it hit 3. That's stupid. That was the dumbest thing. It's called duality. Maybe change it to triality. I don't know. Or try disaster, giggity. Or maybe make it so that it actually can crit at a lower crit, but it does less damage on the crits than it would with any other ability. I don't know. Something along those lines. I would like to see Dream Within a Dream and Duality, though, get traits. So if I had to add them, it would be to those 2 abilities. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. I may just be by imagination, but it seems to me Black Mage and Monk generate aggro quicker than other DPS. If true, is this an intentional mechanic? I don't think that's true. Black Mage generating more aggro is because each one of their hits does like 7,000 damage, so that's why it seems that. That's what Quelling Strikes is for, Black Mages, by the way. Use Quelling. And Monk doesn't have anything Quelling related, so like they don't have anything at all. Ninja can redirect enmity. Dragoon has the backflip. As much as you don't want to have to use it to reduce enmity, it's there and it's possible to use. You know, every other job is Quelling Strikes, and then Monk is just, hi, I'm here. Monk also has a really, really, really high damage opener, and they have really, really high sustained damage. They attack fast, so that may be why you think that, on top of the fact they just don't have it. Also, if you have a Monk in a party who is overgeared and is doing their job, it can also give you that kind of impression as well. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. I think it's just mostly your imagination, unfortunately. And then you also have another thing. I recently found out that and watched all of your, you found and watched all of my Let's Play Final Fantasy XI videos, about 40 of them, sounds about right. It's very nostalgic to see the game still being so frustrating and time-consuming as it was 6-7 years ago when I stopped playing. I learned about stuff like NM drops that I never knew about. My question is, why did you stop doing it? It would have been cool to see the Matt fight. Waiting for that Beastman drop to fight him and lose nearly drove me insane. Doing relic weapon grinds and 14 is nothing. Bored. It was boring. To be honest. It was good at first for the nostalgia. Once the nostalgia, let's pretend these are my literal nostalgia glasses. Once the nostalgia glasses came off, I was like, yeah, I'm not wasting any more of my time with this. And I literally considered it wasting my time. That's not just me speaking in hyperbole. It was just so unbearably boring. And then all that I've learned about that game is that I actually felt exactly the same when I decided to stop doing that series as I did actually fucking playing the game 5 or 6 years ago. So I realized at that point the only reason I even played that game as long as I did throughout my childhood is because the people I played with were really, really awesome. I could have cared less about the actual content. That shit was boring. All I cared about was the people that I played with. So that's why I stopped doing the series. Next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. I have a question for you this week. So instead of in-game goodies, have the gift of longer video duration. Gotta maintain that long video reputation after all. Ha ha! Got jokes. You got jokes. I got spaghetti. Anyway, I'm a black mage first and foremost, but I want to diversify myself for no other reason than to be flexible. I don't raid, but I like to switch jobs if needed. Probably a holdover from 11 where I leveled and geared everything. I tried the other DPS jobs, but they all seem too complicated. Too many combos, dots, buffs. Aside from Thunder at the start of fights, I only ever use Thunder as filler when I'm waiting during Umbral Ice to fill me back up or get a proc. Any other jobs would be unheard of to not use dots if they were down. Not black mage. So my question is this. Is it just me or is black mage much easier to play compared to other DPS? If you are hitting something that barely fights back, yeah, it's probably pretty easy. Most of black mage's difficulty comes in maintaining a Nokian, properly using your ley lines, and minimizing movement in fights. Sometimes this even means getting hit by AoEs. In raid fights, knowing that position you can be in to maximize your damage like that is the most core skill you have, on top of basic understanding of the mechanics of the fight and how your abilities interact with them. Lethargy being able to slow adds, or being able to use ethereal manipulation to reduce movement, or to trade debuffs with somebody who's very far away. You also have knowing when it's the right time to go into Umbral Ice early, or how long you have before a boss becomes untargetable. What skills can you still get off? Should I use my Swift Cast on this? Can I cast Flare on the Tornado to hit multiple targets? A lot of it comes down to that. So you not being a raider makes it a little bit easier to understand that. I personally feel that Black Mage is somewhat one of the easier jobs to play, but its difficulty just isn't in its rotation. It's just in knowing fights and minimizing movement and making sure not to mess up your casts or lose a Nokian or any of those very, very, very important things that come with learning every individual fight. So, I mean, I think that if you got into raiding, you'd find Black Mage still has its challenges, and it's definitely not as simple as you make it out to be. But for doing other content, yeah, Black Mage is definitely one of the easier jobs to play going into casual content. Next question. Hi, Mr. Happy. First time poster, but long time viewers have a bonus of your choice. The cookies. Yeah. I'm a main ninja and having a rotational question you might be able to help me with. Mostly on my second trick attack. By the time my second trick attack is up, as well as blood for blood, my mutilate has usually fallen off. My question is, would it be better if I reapply mutilate when it falls off, or wait basically a few seconds to what is perhaps 2 or 3 global cooldowns on my ninja with Huton, so the mutilate will benefit from both trick attack and blood for blood, though at the cost of potential tick damage in a normal mutilate while I'm going through my second trick attack. So, okay, so you're talking about trick attack and blood for blood. So blood for blood, and it's been a while. Blood for blood, I think, is 10%, and well, at least on ninja, and then trick attack is 10%. Okay, so mutilate is 360 potency at base. Now, well, it's 360 potency with the initial hit plus the amount of ticks that you get. So we have to factor in a couple things. For one, it's 60 potency at base. 20% of that is buffed by by your initial hit, by your poisons. So that's actually 72 potency. So it's actually 372 potency at base for that reason, because your dots don't benefit from the physical buff that you get from the fucking thing, the fucking poisons. This is me doing poisons, just looks like I'm jerking a ghost off. So you have 372 at base. Now let's say you lose 3 ticks of that. Now 3 global cooldowns is not the equivalent of 3 ticks. It's actually closer to 2, maybe 3, depending on the global server ticks. So that would be 30 potency each. So you would lose anywhere from 60 to 90 potency. Now, 20% of 372, because it's going to give you the bonus not only to the initial hit, but to the dot as well when it comes to trick attack and blood for blood. So 20% of 372, 10% is 37.2. Just multiply that by 2. You come to, what is it, 74.4. And it's basically slightly more worth it, based on exactly the calculation you gave me. It's slightly more worth it if you only give up 2 ticks. But it is, it's not worth it if it ends up giving up 3 ticks. So it really kind of falls to it. I'd have to see the actual situation, because this situation doesn't ring a bell with me. I don't recall having this issue when it comes to the second trick attack. But you also have to keep in mind that by delaying your mutilate there may be points in your rotation that seem really, really off later on. I'd imagine after this mutilate would probably be a Shadow Fang, just based on thinking about the timing of the second trick attack. But, I mean, just given your situation in a vacuum, without thinking about how it affects the fight later, delaying cooldowns in any way, better if it's 2 ticks, not as good if it's 3 ticks. So, hopefully that answers your question. Next question. Hi, Haps. Question for week 69. So, here, have some Subway. All right, well, I guess they sell cookies at Subway, so I can take it. Can you see 1,000 fists, you mean 100 fists, ever being added to Monk? I actually had an idea to get 100 fists in the game and not make it do what people want it to do. I think you're never going to see a point where 100 fists is added in, and it basically makes it so you have no auto attack delay for like 20 seconds. You're never going to see that happen. My idea for 100 fists was to make it so that for the next 5 seconds, you can't use global cooldowns. But every second and a half of 100 fists, you generate a stack of Grease Lightning 3 and make it something like a 5-minute cooldown. So you would be basically auto attacking every like 0.2 seconds, so you get 5 auto attacks a second, 25 auto attacks, which is pretty cool. I wish you could make it an actual 100 auto attacks. That would be unfucking believable. But then it would also be ridiculously overpowered. You would have to make it 10 seconds and make it so that every 3 seconds you generated a stack of Grease Lightning, which isn't, I guess, too bad, but then you'll lose Twin Snakes and all that, and it would be, I don't know, I'm sure it could be worked out, you know, this is just, obviously, me bullshitting, you know, ideas out of my head. So yeah, I think it's doable without making it ridiculously overpowered. It just wouldn't be like it is in 11, or like it is when you're doing the level, I think, 25 Pugilist quest, I think it is, yeah. So it could happen, though. Next question. Hi there, Mr. Haps. This is a quick one for week 69. Giggity. If you lived in a Final Fantasy world and had a class, what would it be? Yo, give me my Puppet Master. Right now. Yo, Puppet Master, go in. We got it. Good. I'm not kidding. Seriously, Puppet Master. That's my answer. Next question. Hey there, Mr. Happy. First-time viewer, but many-time poster. Wait. Wrong macro. I meant first-time poster, many-time viewer. That makes more sense. So I have a Thornton Barding, or traded in for an I-210 Relic Animal Weapon. Why would I even have to think about that? Of course I'm trading in the Barding for a weapon. Come on, man. I have a few questions for you for the week 69 Q&A. So I actually saw that this was an incredibly long post, which you'll see right here. But luckily, the person made TLDR. So remember, guys, if you have super long questions and you want me to answer them, TLDR sections are great. TLDR was doing A3, chose to do a triple fell cleave during a safe moment with defensive cooldowns, but the healer didn't once try to heal me, leading to me dying and the party wiping. Then chose to blame me for everything. Am I wrong here, or the healer's once at fault? If you didn't get healed once with defensive cooldowns as a warrior, healer's fault. Easy answer, easy life. Healer, step up your game. Next question. Hey, look at that. TLDR number 2. A4 wipe normal from people going nuclear to ads. I'm guessing you mean they got 4 stacks. Including the main tank, got 4 stacks. The main tank then decides to sit back and relax while the rest of the team tried to do their job. After a second wipe, he proceeds to insult everyone and encourage everyone to leave the MMO. What is your opinion of the situation? He's an asshole. Don't let him think. Don't let him bother you. He's just one of those people. I'm amazed that this group didn't vote abandon, or didn't vote kick him, because I read your thing and you actually said they failed the vote kick, but the vote abandon was successful. So I'm almost going to say he was in there with friends deliberately griefing if he somehow did not get vote kicked. Granted, to go nuclear to the ads, for the DPS, for 2 people for that to happen with, that's very unfortunate. And it sounds like people needed to learn it, which you can only do by fucking doing the fight. So if anything, I'd say this main tank is worse, especially if he didn't do any of the mechanics, which you've also said he didn't do any of the mechanics. So I'd say he's worse than the players who didn't actually know the fight, because he was unwilling to do the fight. And if anyone should leave the MMO, it's that guy. Guy, I hope you're watching. You should leave the MMO. Anyway, And finally, last TLDR, are party finder parties which discourage bonus players from playing, as well as 2-run kill or practice parties for Thornton, promoting a more harmful atmosphere and causing more problems than solutions. Oh, they're causing a million problems because it's discouraging people from getting into endgame unless you know the right people, or you can lie your way into a group until you actually get a clear and then take your way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with needing to do that, because it's the measures through which people are being forced to take. So I think it is harmful, and I think that some players need to literally go out of their way to make party finder groups specifically for teaching. I don't think they need to carry. I think teaching is the right word. You as one person go in and say, I am making a teaching group. All of you, all 7 of you need to be learners, or need to be people have X amount of progress. But even then, you're still going to have 1 or 2 people that leave after 1 or 2 runs because they wanted to clear it, not learn it. And those teaching parties sometimes never fill in the party finder. I take it back. Learning parties never fill. A teaching party would probably fill, because people are like, no, I don't want to join these other people learning the fight. Somebody makes a teaching party like, oh shit, I'm going to learn the fight? Great. Somebody else is doing all the effort and I don't have to. So yeah, it's not just those party finders though, it's the mentality of the people going into them. So there's a lot of issues with it, and I don't think it's just that. That's definitely not helping. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hope your weekend was awesome. Have some more SO. Yes, I'm capped on both characters, but that's okay. 2 questions. How does YouTube subscription service, I think it's called YouTube Red, it is, impact your work on there, and will it impede our efforts to support you and your channel? Wow, YouTube Red question. I'm actually very supportive of YouTube Red, because since YouTube Red's implementation, my earnings on YouTube have actually gone up. Now, granted, I haven't been producing as much video content as of late, but YouTube Red has had a positive impact on my videos. It just depends on how many videos people watch, how long they watch. All that is very, very important when determining YouTube Red's efficiency. So it's good, and honestly, if you're somebody who runs ad blockers on YouTube, but you watch a lot of like YouTubers that you really like and support, if you aren't otherwise donating to them or supporting them directly, I highly recommend you buy YouTube Red, because they will see the results of everyone who does buy YouTube Red's service. It doesn't impede any efforts. If you get it, you're helping yourself, you're helping the channels. That being said, remember, I did say the Twitch subscription, that's all me. So that's the better way to do it. I like that even better than tips and donations, because tips and donations, all I do with those is I put them towards giveaways for the stream. So that's supporting you. Like when you tip and you donate, I'm putting that back into you guys. When you subscribe or you watch a video or you just watch an ad, that's, you know, that's supporting my lifestyle. You know what I mean? I don't want to take people's tips and donations and use them for my own personal benefit. So I always try to put those back in the stream in some way, shape, or form, mostly in the form of giveaways. The other question is, what are some reasonable goals to shoot for as a DPS looking to get into Savage? I think I had a question like this last week. Now would probably be a good time to train oneself, and I'm curious what kind of benchmark should I be aiming for. Depends on your job, but look at the average recommended DPS for different jobs on a dummy. Like for example, Ninja with a 205 weapon is probably, with party bonus, with pots, with food, is somewhere in the 1425 to 1450 range. With 210, it's between 1450, 1475. If you have full best in slot and diadem gear, 1475 to 1500 is generally considered a good range to be as a ninja. But that changes for every different job. So that should be your minimum goal, is to be able to pull out as much DPS as possible on dummies. That doesn't really help you get into a raid group, but it's a base. It's something. Starting somewhere is pretty important. Next question. Hey, Happy, have some cookies. Yes! Somebody gets me! Anyways, 2 questions for you, since they kind of fall in the same category. I recently left my static after raiding with them for a couple of months. I pretty much told my raid leader about my gripes with the raid group. They had a negative attitude going into raid, not leaving Kupo at the door, and never listening to my suggestions on how to get past the mechanic we're stuck on. But after a couple more weeks of nothing changed, I quit. Now most of the raid group is pissed at me. Are they right for being mad? I've been in your shoes. When I left Legacy, the free company, the group I was in, I felt, most importantly, our goals didn't align. I didn't feel they wanted to clear content as quickly as possible. They just wanted to eventually clear content. So this sounds like a similar case without the exact similar situation, where it doesn't seem like you and the raid group's goals aligned. And it's pretty important within a raid group to make sure people are on the same level. It makes for less animosity towards players, and it makes towards a more cohesive raiding experience, because people can communicate their ideas properly. Just sounds like you guys just weren't on the same page. So you did the right thing for yourself. The only issue and why they may be hating you is because replacing you is going to be very, very difficult. And a lot of times when you leave a raid group like that, they tend to think that you think you're better than them, when it's really a matter of, I don't think our raid goals align anymore. So I want to move on to play with people who have raid goals that are more aligned. I have nothing against you as people, even if sometimes you guys piss me off while we're raiding. It's just, I need to find people that are matching my goals. It sounds like that's the exact situation you're in, and you're not wrong for that. On to my second question. I switched servers from what I was on and couldn't see any progression going on over there. Do you have any suggestions on how I could find a new free company or static? I get that question a lot. That falls into the questions I was talking about last week. That's like generic, and it's the same generic answer. It's go to the recruitment thread, check out the party finders, make a character on them, and try to find recruitment via the party finder if you can unlock it on those other characters. Or ask a friend to start looking for you, to keep their eye out on the party finder. Go to the official forums, to the server forums for the recruitment threads on Reddit and the forums and the official forums. Use all the tools available, and you generally have a pretty good time. Next question. Yo, Haps, how's it going? Hope you're having a good Sunday. I've had a headache all day, but my headache has subsided a little bit just for this recording. I was wondering about the whole strength and vitality accessories on tank debate going around. This is going to be a weekly question. I know it is. These days, I noticed that self-healing, such as Equilibrium, Second Wind, Clemency, the HP recovered is much higher when having full strength accessories. I was wondering if this is another thing they could change, because it seems more of an incentive for tanks to have strength on. They could possibly do something with, when they could possibly do something with vitality to that extent. So here's how you make vitality effective. There's two ways. One, make the direct vitality number be a modifier in the stats. Two, make it percentage healing based on maximum health. Those are both ways that they could do it, and they're both changes that they could very easily make. So you're right. Equilibrium isn't better with, actually, you know what? I don't know Equilibrium off the top of my head. I know Equilibrium's better with, what is it? I can't think of it right now. It's slipping my mind. I don't think Equilibrium scales with attack power. I know Second Wind does. I don't think Equilibrium does, but I don't want to say that for certain because I haven't read the Equilibrium tooltip in a pretty long time. But I agree with you that that is something that they could do. Also, have you watched One Punch? Nope, I don't watch anime. I don't watch One Punch Man. No, I don't watch anime. I don't do it. I watched Dragon Ball Super. I watched episode 22 of Dragon Ball Super today. That's it. I don't actively pursue anime. I don't watch anime. Like, just not my thing, man. Nothing against people who do, just not my thing. So keep up awesome Twitch and YouTube work. Will do. Next question. Dear Mr. Happy, longtime viewer, so take a 200 SO bonus. Thank you. Do you think that the Maiden's Rhapsody event can or will be the intro to Samurai Trainer? No. I've actually gotten that question a lot, and I even mentioned it in my video of me doing the Maiden's Rhapsody. No. I think it was just their cool little way of doing things, and I don't think we should look too far into it, because then it doesn't make sense to people who didn't do the Maiden's Rhapsody. It's like, who the fuck is Aroa? Who are you? Like, why are you relevant all of a sudden? And I don't think that's gonna happen. Also, she uses a polearm, not a great katana, so people would be pretty upset if she ended up, you know, maybe she can pop up in the Samurai Quest line eventually, but I don't expect her to have anything to do with the Samurai Quest line whenever it does come out. And now we have the final question, or questions. Thank you, everyone. The questions were pretty good this week. I'm a pretty big fan of the questions. We had a few of those, you know, overlapping, you know, generic answer questions, but not too many. It was generally a pretty good week. So, hola, Senor Feliz. Third time is the charm, and I am giving you a few more questions and one quick follow-up for an unanswered question from week 68. If you answer any of them, you get triple SO bonus. You didn't even tell me what the regular SO bonus is. 1. Fight or Flight Gladiator ability. I'm level 60 Paladin. When is it more effective to use it? I'm assuming Rage of Halone, GB. What the fuck do I not know what GB means? RA. Oh, is that Goring Blade? Goring Blade Royal Authority or Goring Blade? Well, for raw DPS, Goring Blade is god tier. Also, if you're main tanking, Rage of Halone is your enmity generator. As long as you need enmity, that's where you're gonna go. The strength debuff is important in rare situations. Well, not in rare situations, but in situations where bosses have extremely powerful cleaves, physical cleaves. That's where Rage of Halone is good. For Fight or Flight, I'm almost positive you use that right off the start because you want to have Fight or Flight. You want to get a Goring Blade, one other combo. You want to get your Circle of Scorn Dot, your your spirits within, all within a fight or flight, and it comes up pretty frequently, so you don't want to hold on to it too long. But those are pretty good. Yeah, if you don't need Rage of Halone at all, if the boss does no physical damage, and you don't need to maintain enmity, then yeah, Royal Authority and Goring Blade are all you need to use. A pretty solid example of that is if you're off tanking the Manipulator, or even if you're just on the legs and you don't need enmity. If you don't need enmity for any reason, Rage of Halone does nothing on them, so, or does nothing on the Manipulator at all. So it's a really good place to have the Goring Blade Royal Authority. Let's see. Would it be good to use a cooldown rotation when there's no particular tank buster to address? If there's no tank busters, you shouldn't be wasting cooldowns unless you're mitigating a lot of very quick damage, like a lot of auto attacks frequently. But even then, usually you want to line up defensive cooldowns to take a few autos, take the tank buster, and then take a few more autos. Or take one type of cleave and then take another tank buster. Just to absorb more than a single hit with it. 2.0, or two questions. For current endgame, what would be the most priority accessories, vitality, or strength? I've been doing hunts and I've almost 3 upgraded SO accessories. For casual content, strength accessories are a lot better. The safest thing to do is in raiding, like real raiding, is to do 2 strength, 3 crafted, or 3 vitality. And then if you have good experience with your raid group, you can run more than that, run more strength. But in casual content, as much strength as you feel comfortable wearing is generally the better route to go. Next, wow, you have a lot of questions. 3 follow-up also, apparently. Which DPS jobs do you consider the easiest to play from an acceptable degree of performance? I don't think any of them are that easy. I think when it comes to raiding, doesn't matter what job you are, there's no job that's going to be easiest for every single person to hop into raiding, because ultimately you need to know, if you don't have good situational awareness, your play on all jobs is going to be off. If you don't know the mechanics of fights, your play on all jobs is going to be off. Some jobs, some people have an easier time, like some people, like I think Ninja's really fucking easy. I think Monk has an easier rotation, but the need to constantly move between the sides can throw people off. And then Dragoon, the ability to react to your Blood of the Dragon, knowing when you can use your Skoggles, all that comes into play. But I don't think there is an easy one for people to get into, especially when looking at things like Thornton and Savage. And the follow-up to 3, question for week 68, I moved to Leviathan. So far is great, as is my new free company. However, raid activity seems to be lower than Exodus. I watched the last Day of the Realm discussion about server transfer. Remember you mentioned that fusing Leviathan with another server. I do not have regrets over the transfer, but I think that it would be interesting to have a bit more people. So just supporting the idea of server transfers, merges. I know it's hard with the whole housing situation, but I think they could find a solution that works. And it always sucks. It's never good PR to have to merge servers. It's horrible public, or a horrible PR to have to do that. So, as bad as it would look, though, for the sake of players, I think it's a good idea. I think they made too many servers when the demand for the game was at its highest, and they haven't figured out what to do with those servers now that the demand for the game is at a steady pace. It's at a steady level. New people join, people quit, and it stays at about the same number in terms of subscribers. So anyway, thank you everyone again for your questions this week. One last reminder, I forgot to do this last week where I put the videos here again towards the end, but they're there. They're not going to be there nearly as long as they are usually at the start, but definitely be sure to go check those videos out. Give them a like. Be sure to share them, follow, all that good stuff that I always say at the end of every video. But again, thank you everyone for your questions. Don't forget to ask your questions for next week in the comment section that is in the description of the video. People ask me every week, where do you go? Description of the video, Dream Network forums link. Go there, sign up, ask your question, and if you have a really long one, add a TLDR for it, because it makes getting through them a whole heck of a lot easier. So anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you all tomorrow, since today's Monday that you're seeing this. I'll see you all tomorrow for the Devilian event. We're still going to have 14 during the week. We're going to have Blade and Soul during the weekend, so it's going to be a busy week. And I hope you guys are willing to come by and help us get to that 800 Twitch subscriber goal. Yeah! That's not followers, by the way. On Twitch, followers is the equivalent to subscribers here on YouTube. And on Twitch, subscribers are like paying subscribers. Like it's a monthly subscription, like the word actually means. So anyway, thank you all for watching for like the 18th time in this awkward ending. Got it. So I'll see you guys next week or in the next video or on the stream, wherever. Until then, take care.